Ladies and gentlemen, friendly reminder that we have SAT day tomorrow. So I am not seeing 7th period tomorrow. But I am seeing 8th period tomorrow, AP Psych. With that being said, I am teaching tomorrow. We are not going to finish content today, but I am going to finish content tomorrow. So if I was you, I would watch my... There you go. So I am not finishing content today. There's just no way I can finish content today. However, I will be teaching tomorrow, and I will be posting a video tomorrow, so I'd absolutely watch my lecture tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know 7th period. I will not see you because it's SAT day. I will be teaching 8th period. There will be a video going up for 8th period. Is everyone clear on that? You have a test on Thursday. Okay, your test is on Thursday. Please make sure you're ready for it. It will be kind of hard just because I'm not going to see you. We don't have a normal week this week. I am offering extra credit. This will go on week 27 test. So a week from tomorrow. If you bring in any type of disinfecting thing, it can be a spray, it can be a wipe, it can be hand soap, I don't care. Whatever it is, you get 5 points per, up to 15 points total, and it'll be added to your final test of the quarter. Your final test will be next Wednesday because we go on to spring break after Friday. You know that, right? So not this Friday, but next Friday is spring break. So, and we're in 4th quarter. Which is insane. When we go off into spring break, we're officially into 4th quarter. So that's crazy. So, extra credit, you can start bringing it in anytime you want. If you're here tomorrow, you all should be here tomorrow because you're all juniors pretty much. Okay? If you're here tomorrow and you have it at home, bring it in tomorrow whenever you like. That's perfectly fine. I'll just go to week 27, not week 26 test. Is everyone good? Okay. So, yes. Let's do it then. All right. Who can raise your hand and tell me where we left off? Kaylee. Okay. All right. So we're on our anxiety disorders still. Is that correct? Okay. So when we're talking about anxiety disorders, we're talking about anxiety that cannot be regulated, and that's the big unique component of it. So when we're talking about anxiety disorders, we're talking about all of the components that have excessive or unrealistic anxiety or fearfulness. Now, we, of course, every single person in this room knows, well, anxiety. But when we talk about anxiety disorders, is it the same type of anxiety that we are experiencing? Like normal, not diagnosed with an anxiety disorder? No. And they can come out of nowhere, which are huge components of it. All right. We got to overgeneralization. That's where you said, Katie? Okay, perfect. So, causes of anxiety disorders. According to cognitive psychologists, they believe that it is caused by magnification, that they're making small things into big things. All or nothing. If I don't get this, then all of a sudden, everything, all my whole life is going to fail. Like, for instance, Florida. I don't want to ask, but Florida came out on Friday at 6 o'clock. Some kids here at Plant High School thought their whole life was they're going to Florida, and maybe it worked out, maybe it didn't. All those types of things, that's an all or nothing. Or an overgeneralization is to interpret a single negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat and failure. Okay? So, one person doesn't like you, and all of a sudden, no one in the world likes you, and nothing is good. Yes? Do we know someone like that? Yep. Is it you? I feel like it's me. Minimization is the tendency to give little or no importance to one's success or positive events and traits. Okay? Nothing is good. Nothing they do is of value, and that's how they present to the world. And then if you look at the biological explanations, they look at anxiety disorders. Let me borrow this for 2 seconds. I'm trying to help you out, Thomas. And then the biological approach, they believe anxiety disorders are chemical imbalances in the nervous system, specifically serotonin and GABA. All right, that's the end of our anxiety disorders. Did we enjoy them? Hello? All right, perfect. So let's head to somatoform disorders. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is my last day with you before your exam. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to sit here and write out probably your focus for 8th period. Does that make sense? So would that be worth your time to watch my video if I'm literally sitting here writing out someone's focus? Yes. So that's probably what's going to happen. We're going to cover big picture stuff and really focus on your study guide today. Tomorrow in class, because I'm with them for like a really long, I'm with them for a solid hour, I believe. So I will be going through the focus. So if you haven't worked on it yet, that would be a good video to watch, yes? Okay, so somatoform disorders. I will tell you right now, people struggle with somatoform disorders. They are hard to diagnose. They are kind of hard to understand. Okay? Somatoform disorders are disorders that take the form of a bodily illness and symptoms, but there are no physical disorders. So let me simplify that. Your body isn't working, but there's no reason why. Like, for instance, I have a girl in a video of this little cute little Aussie, okay? She is from Australia. She literally she has a somatoform disorder and she cannot walk. But when doctors look at her spinal cord and all of the ligaments and tendons that connect to her spinal cord that are necessary in walking, they're all perfectly fine. But my girl can't walk. So if everything is physically fine, then it has to be mental. So it is a mental block that stops her from physically doing something. Or I wouldn't say train it, but there's some sort of more mental change that causes it. So is it because she wants the attention? I would say, I mean, you'll see this girl, it ruins her entire life. She was apparently a super successful, like going to go to college for volleyball, like she's super talented. And then one day she hit her head on the court and she woke up and she couldn't walk. But there's nothing wrong with her spine. Like her spine is perfect, but you'll see her. She's super shaky and they're like, she can't walk, she cannot function. They don't know, but also they don't know what's wrong with her. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a nerve that's being pinched. That's obvious that we can try to fix that nerve. There's nothing physically wrong with her, so it has to be mental, but what part of her brain mentally isn't working? And that's the trick. That's somatoform. Do you see how hard they are? They're really also hard to diagnose as well. Psychosomatic disorders are disorders in which the psychological stress causes a real physical disorder or illness. So a psychosomatic disorder is when your physiological stress, psychological stress cause a physical disorder. Anyone here, and believe me, this does not make you psychosomatic. Has anyone here got so stressed out they threw up? Absolutely. If it hasn't happened to you yet, you will. It will happen to every single one of you. Does that mean that you're psychosomatic? No. That means you're having a normal experience. But if you throw up every time you have stress, is that normal? No, absolutely not. So, that is when, psychosomatic is when you have psychological stress that causes a physical. Now, all of us have probably experienced where we threw up after we got so nervous, right? That's not the type of things we're discussing with psychosomatic. When we're talking about things with psychosomatic, some people go blind. Like they're so psychologically stressed, they lose their ability to see. Can you imagine how scary that would be? You're just like so psychologically stressed that you lose the ability to see. Lose the ability to move your arms and stuff like that. That's psychosomatic. Psychophysiological disorder is a modern term for psychosomatic. So we no longer use psychosomatic, we now use psychophysiological disorder. So we don't use psychosomatic anymore, we now use psychophysiological disorder. Do you want to meet my Aussie? It's really hard because we don't really understand how that part of the brain works. So it's really, really hard to do those types of tests to figure out what part of the brain is. Now, are they trying to help her? Of course, but they don't necessarily know exactly what is going wrong. I hate that one. Where are you? Alright, so her name's Holly. How Aussie is that? Alright, so let's talk about the different somatoform disorders, and then I can show you Holly. So, your first one is hypochondriasis. Now, hypochondriasis is a somatoform disorder in which the person is terrified of being sick and worries constantly and goes to the doctor. What do we call that? Hypochondriac is short for hypochondriasis. So a person who suffers from hypochondriasis is a hypochondriac. So you already know this term, okay? Now, every single person in this room has been like, oh my God, my nose is running. Or, oh my God, I coughed really hard. And you go to WebMD and you're like, oh my God, I have 12 different cancers. This is horrifying. Yes? Have we all been there before? Yeah? How terrifying. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm definitely going to die. I pricked my finger with a safety pin and now it says I have all these terrible cancers and stuff like that. Now, an average person would look at WebMD and be like, how can I have 15 different things? And some of these things only happen in 0.0000001% of the population. So how likely is that to happen to you? Probably not. So hypochondriasis is someone who, even when they go to the doctor and do all the tests, they still don't believe the test. And that's what I would write in your application. Hypochondriasis is when people go to the doctors, they get tested, and they verify those tests. So they do it numerous times, and the person still doesn't believe the doctor. So they go to a different doctor, and they do the same tests. And those tests are verified, and nothing. Now keep in mind, besides the fact they're wasting the time of our doctors and our Medicare, yes, they really do believe that there is something wrong with them. Now, I love Dr. Pimple Popper. Mostly McCrae does, but I like her. I love to know, we like to guess, is it a lipoma or whatever the other one is? McCrae's really good at it. He loves all those medical shows, by the way. And there was a lady who had hypochondriasis. She thought she was really breaking out in some sort of thing, but she was causing it herself. So hypochondriasis is when, even though it's been verified that you don't have something, you really think you do. Okay? Everyone in their family probably has someone similar to this. Maybe not diagnosed, okay, because they're pretty rare, but do you know someone who's incredibly dramatic? Yes? Okay. Is that you? Is that why you have a big... That this is definitely you? Okay. Your next one is somatoization disorder. Somatoization disorder is a somatoform disorder in which the person dramatically complains of a specific symptom such as nausea, difficulty swallowing, or pain to which there is no cause. So just write this down in your application box right now, and then I'll leave it up there. I'm not trying to change it. Write it down. They're in pain with no cause. Somatoization. They're feeling something physically, but it cannot be proven. They feel something physical, but it cannot be proven. Somatoization disorder is, like for instance, I could feel like someone is choking. Did you see, perfect example, did you see that new movie that came out with the chick from,
Invisible Man?
Yeah, The Invisible Man, yes? Okay, it's her boyfriend or her whatever, crazy ex or whatever, discovers a way to make himself invisible and then just tortures the hell out of her, yes? We've all seen the commercials with the chick from, what's the name of the TV show? With the hoods. It's on Hulu. I know, it's so damn good. Oh.
Oh my god.
Handmaid's Tale. Yes. Okay. The chick from The Handmaid's Tale is in this movie, The Invisible Man. In The Invisible Man, there is like, spoiler alert, this movie is a remake, but they redid it a little bit differently. Apparently the end's different. I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not giving any spoilers. I'm watching the same damn commercials you are, so don't send me any hate mail, okay? With that being said, her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whoever figures out a way to make himself invisible. After she breaks up with him, he literally tortures her. Okay? With that being said, while being invisible, he literally chokes her and tries killing her in numerous ways just to make her life hell. Her doctors cannot see anything, okay? Cannot see anything, and she's being choked out, and they're like, there's nothing wrong, your airway is clear. That's somatoization. They all think she has a somatoization disorder. That she feels something physically, but there's no physical proof it's happening. Like, for instance, could you imagine if all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe, and then the doctor, like the EMT gets here and they're like, her air passage is perfectly clear, but I'm not breathing. That's somatoization. I am not breathing, but there's no physical cause for it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wild? And like these people are feeling pain. Like their arm is like in excruciating pain, and the doctor goes in and they're like, no, everything here is perfectly normal, right, Olivia? Because that wouldn't be rude as hell, right? Absolutely. So, with that being said, somatoization disorder is when you're experiencing something, but there's no physical proof it's happening. Could you imagine living in a world like that? Where you're experiencing, like for instance, when you're in pain, you know you're in pain because you feel the pain. And if you say, oh my God, Miss Bennett, like I need to go, like I'm in so much pain right now, what do I immediately do? Believe you, like who am I to tell you you're not? Imagine you're in physical pain and you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm in physical pain. They do all these tests and they're like regulating all your heart and all of your blood and they can't find out. They're like, no, you're not in pain. Could you imagine being told you're not in pain but yet you're feeling pain? That's somatoization.
So scary.
It's got to be terrifying. And then you have conversion disorder. Now, conversion disorder is a somatoform disorder in which the person experiences a specific symptoms in the somatic nervous system's functioning, such as paralysis, numbness, blindness, for which there is no physical cause. With some conversion disorder, people see there's a problem, and I would write that down in the application. People can physically see there's a problem, but there's no cause. Okay? People physically see there's a problem, but there's no reason for it. So, like, for instance, you're going to meet Holly here in a second. Holly can't walk, and she literally trembles at the whole time. If you look at her, you can see that there's something wrong with her. But when you get into all of her different components, and you do brain scans, and they do every test you could possibly do, there's nothing physically wrong with her, but everyone can agree there's something wrong with her. Somatoization disorder is no one sees anything, and there is no proof it's happening. So it's essentially entirely in your head. Because if you're in pain, we can't see that you're in pain. Okay, we just have to go by, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain are you in? And you can say, oh, I'm an 8. And then I would believe you because why wouldn't I? The somatoization, there's no verification. With conversion disorder, it is apparent there's something wrong, but we don't know why. Could you imagine people telling you that what you're feeling and what you're experiencing doesn't exist? How hard would that be? Because how do you decide what is real and what is not real? By experience, correct? So if you're experiencing something and everyone's like, no, that's not real, could you imagine how challenging that would be and how horrible that would be? Are you ready to meet my girl? Yeah? All right, let's meet Holly.
so it sent my body off into...
The bizarre and extremely rare condition that strikes down otherwise healthy young people like Holly Longford and can leave them unable to walk or talk. It has doctors baffled because physically the patients have nothing wrong with them. Lucy Polkinghorne explains.
I rely on everyone to help me get food, get change, help drown myself out of the shower because I can't do it.
Very frightening. You just see your child go from a perfectly active teenager to not being able to walk, not being able to talk.
It's very hard, I think, for people to understand, for laymen, for anyone to really understand how it can be that patients can present with such significant, overwhelming symptoms when there's no physical cause.
Conversion disorders number
Incredibly,
10 on
doctors
your
say
focus,
there shouldn't
by
be
the way.
anything wrong with Adelaide teenager Holly Longford.
I was spasming out of control and I couldn't stand or walk. I started to lose my speech.
Her world was turned upside down 14 months ago after a collision while playing netball.
And I came off the court crying because my back was in so much pain. And then the days progressed. I just got worse.
She saw chiropractors, physios and doctors, but no one could help.
I got admitted to another doctor and then he put me on fluoxetine and I had a reaction to it. So it sent my body off into a spasming seizure sort of thing, not being able to
Now
stop.
keep in mind, they
and I
think
couldn't
nothing
walk
is
at
wrong
all.
with her.
She spent 2 weeks in hospital
Like her
learning
speech,
how to walk
her
again.
physical,
And
the whole
despite
thing.
countless tests and scans, doctors couldn't find anything physically wrong. For her mum Wendy, the unknown was frightening.
You just see your little girl deteriorate and they can't find anything. And I suppose that's the hard thing as a parent. You don't want to believe it's a psychological issue either because you think, I can't fix that.
No one really understood it as well. They just thought it was like just a freak case and like almost a miracle that I recovered so quick.
But not for long. The spasming in the legs returned and she was readmitted to hospital. And that's when she was diagnosed with the mysterious conversion disorder.
A conversion disorder is a disorder where patients present with signs and symptoms of a neurological illness, such as having had a stroke or a seizure of some description, but where there's no actual underlying physical illness. Instead, it's the body's response to some underlying stress.
While it seems unbelievable, Dr. Andrew Court from the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne says it's very real and illustrates the power of the mind over the body.
These symptoms are unconscious, they're not fabricated, they're not made up.
15-year-old Yana Tanska understands all too well. She's had the condition for 4 months. Hers was also triggered by back pain.
Some days I don't understand it, but like I understand what's happening, but you still wanna have a specific cause from it, like not just psychological, because it doesn't sound right.
Health experts say little is known about the disorder and what triggers it. It can only be explained by psychological stress. But for Yana and Holly, two happy and healthy teens, it doesn't make sense.
It's your body's way of just saying it can't cope with stuff going on with your life.
I have no idea what it could have set it off. Because at that time I was normal, I was happy, I was going out every weekend, going to parties and seeing friends.
While the symptoms aren't permanent, there's no quick or known cure, and there's always a chance it could return.
A rehabilitation program, it's a returning or retraining the body to functioning normally, which may involve physiotherapy, trying to work out what the underlying psychological distress is and be able to manage it and deal with it.
So keep in mind, these two ladies, their lives have completely changed. Can we agree? And there's no physical reason why neither of them can walk and why both of them are shaking. Can you see that there's something wrong with them? Yes, you can physically see, but there's no cause. Somatoization would be the girl is saying, like, I can't walk, and there's no physical reason why. Does that make sense? There's no physical connection, there's no physical cue, and no, like, actual internal change. What do you think? Kind of scary, right?
The doctors, like, know that there's something wrong with her, right?
Yes.
The difference between that and the other one.
Somatoization, they can't verify that there is something wrong. Because with conversion disorder, it is very apparent they cannot walk.
She, like, has, like, a seizure.
Yeah, she has like a seizure, and there's physical things that are going along that doctors could prove this is happening, but we don't know why it's happening. Somatoization, there's nothing physically there. Like, for instance, if you're in super pain, your heart rate goes up, yes? Your blood pressure goes up because you're in crazy amounts of pain, yes? Well, when you are dealing with somatoform disorder, your heart rate does not go up, your blood pressure does not go up, but you are still feeling crazy amounts of pain. So there's no physical marker for the intellectual pain or anguish you're in, which makes that one very, very tricky. All right. All right, so causes of your somatoform disorders. Okay, so what type of disorder? How does it affect? So psychoanalytic believes somatoform disorders are assume anxiety is turned into a physical symptom. So behavioral explains point to a negative reinforcement, saying that ill person escapes unpleasant experiences as a type of escape. And then cognitive explanations assume that people magnify their physical symptoms and normal bodily changes out of irrational fear. All right, so, no.
That's number 5.
It can be, yeah, I believe so. Macy? Abnormality. You should have examples, yeah. So you can use some of these as your number 5 for sure. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you should have hypochondriasis on, let's look at number 10 and let's fill out number 10, that whole little box for you. So on your focus, let's go over somatoform disorders again. Your first one is hypochondriasis. What type of disorder is it? It's a somatoform disorder. Which is when, and you have the definition right there, which is when a person thinks that they are, when they have a disease or a disorder, yet there's nothing there, and there is no proof of that disorder. If you've ever watched any like medical television show, that's what, there's always a hypochondriac that comes in. Can we agree? Any of you who, like family members or family friends that are in the medical field? Do they talk about hypochondriacs that come in? They typically, like for instance, EMTs, if you know anyone in that field, my best friend's husband is an EMT, and they go to the same houses all the time. And it's just like there's one lady that calls all the time, and they're constantly dealing with her. And she thinks she has everything. She's like diagnosed psychosomatic hypochondriac. Then you have somatoization, which is also a somatoform disorder. Which is when a person dramatically complains of a specific symptoms, which there's no physical cause. And there's no physical markers either. And that's the difference. So like for instance, if I said I'm choking right now, and you're like, oh my God, did she eat something? Is she choking on gum? And like you look down my throat, there's absolutely nothing there. It's perfect and wide open, but I'm not breathing. That is a perfect example of somatoization disorder. Like I'm physically not breathing, but there's no physical cause for it. And there is no justification for it. And then, of course, we have conversion disorder, which is what Holly was suffering with, when there is something physical we can see, but there is still no cause for it. Now, you have dissociative amnesia, dissociative fusion, dissociative identity disorder. Those 3 other boxes, you can cross off those 3 other boxes. You don't need to do them because that's next week's content. Okay, while we're in class, I do want to go through your DSM-4 a little bit more closely. So we're going to go to we are going to go to number 6 on your focus, and we're going to really discuss that. So that's where we're heading to now, is number 6, to make sure everyone understands the DSM-4. So for number 6, explain the DSM-4 and what it is and its 5 axes. So the DSM-4 is a manual of psychological disorders and their symptoms. It is used by doctors to diagnose, treat, and modify. So everyone should be filling out number 6. So DSM-4 is a manual of psychological disorders and their symptoms that is used to diagnose, treat, and modify. You need to know that. Diagnose, treat, and modify. How much longer we got, Margot? I do appreciate how she's like, I'm done. I got a minute left. God forbid. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, for the DSM-4, you need to know that Axis 1 is clinical disorders. I'm going to put it in my video, and it's the last big thing. So if you go to my video from today, it has everything nicely there for you. Isn't that nice? Goodbye, my darlings. I will not see you tomorrow, but I will see you on Thursday. You have a test on Thursday. Tomorrow in class, I am recording a lecture for 8th period. It'll be helpful if you want to watch it. Goodbye.